All right, great. So, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon once again. So, welcome to our monthly career development webinar, with the topic of today being Navigating the Horizon, the dedicated career guide webinar for Ghana oil and gas industry. My name is Clement Mante Ano, and then I am part of the career guide and development committee of the Ghana section. So I'm both delighted and honored to be the moderator for this amazing webinar as we convene in the spirit of inquiry and professional growth. Be you students, recent graduates, or seasoned professionals, each of you is a valuable link to the chain of development that powers not just our industry, but also ignites the potential for national prosperity. Because of late, there has been a lot of problem with the youth understanding the difference between work and then what career. So we have our amazing speakers on board here who would help us to differentiate and then know the right way to choose a career instead of a work. Okay, so this gathering today symbolizes more than just the exchange of ideas and strategies. It epitomizes our collective commitment, okay, to harnessing our resources responsibly and then professional to our workforce. So today we are here to chart the course for your future, to bridge the gap between theoretical knowledge, that's what we have been learning in school, and then the practical exigencies of our sector, okay, which is very, very critical when it comes to the oil and gas industry. Okay, so with a lineup of esteemed speakers, expect to receive a wealth of information. A quick note to the attendees. I want you to take a pen and a paper, okay, so that I write everything that will be discussed there, because it's very, very important we take note of every discussion that goes here, because this little information you might not get in the school. So this is the only opportunity we have in order to get everything through. On that note, I would like to introduce the speakers for today. And we have 3 speakers for today. We have Shina Wusuansa, who happens to be working with ENI and also the chair for the Ghana section. We have Derek Clotte, who also happens to be with Talo and also the team lead, and also the career guidance and outreach committee head. And then we have Daniel Pong, who is a process operations department of HDGSK JV, which is a refinery in somewhere of the Middle East. So meaning that we have professionals here who are here to teach us and then let us know the right path to which we can follow. So on that note, I'd like to introduce Mr. Daniel Opon to present a slide. So Mr. Daniel, you have 20 minutes to present a slide. Thank you very much.
Hi, good evening. Well, it's evening here from Karbala, Iraq, where I am currently working. It's past 4 p.m. right here. I work for an EPC company that is currently in the last phase of building a refinery here at Karbala in Iraq. And prior to that, I'd been at Tema Oil Refinery. I think that's where I started my career, and I've worked there before transiting to this place. And this is a subject that I've taught many times because I engage a lot of young persons, and it's very much of my interest. Let me zoom straight to the point so I don't waste time. Okay, I'm trying to share my screen. All right, if you can see my screen, let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, it's visible. Thank you.
All right. So the first question that most people have been asking when it comes to career jobs is, what is the job? What is the career? It's something that is very conflicting for a lot of young persons and even mid-career persons. They don't seem to understand the difference between a job and a career. And the thing is that job is what you do to get paid, whereas career is a lifelong journey. You need a job to be in a career, and you also do not need a job to be in a career, in the sense that because a career is a lifelong journey, you could even go on retirement and you are still in your career, you don't necessarily need a job. But because you need to execute certain taxes that is assigned to you or that you would assign to other people, you will need a job. The thing about job is that it takes your time, and that's what you get to do every day. You spend between 8 to 12 hours every day on your job. Your career is lifelong. It's not something that you just do, like you go to a job or to a work for 8 hours. No, it's something that is perpetual. You are in it for a long haul. A job does not necessarily provide you with a career path or a growth process. For a job, you are employed to execute a task. Nobody is coming to have time to plan your progression. In some firms, you can have that done for you. However, career journey is a self-directed journey. Every firm would put a certain particular pattern for you to follow so that you can grow within its confines. However, that may not necessarily define what you are looking out for in a career. And so whilst a job feeds your immediate need, career is looking at more of your growth pattern, your learning pattern, opportunities. And one of the things about career is that it requires a lot of effort, and you need to continuously, professionally develop yourself. All right. The thing about career routes is that whilst you are trying to identify your strength and find the discipline that you came out from school with, whether you studied electrical engineering or you studied petroleum engineering or you studied chemical engineering or mechanical engineering or petrochem engineering, whichever facet you find yourself, you have to evolve by finding a career area in which the role you want to find yourself in, the way you want to move, the path you want to charter, you need to be able to find the area in which it persists. And then in that area, you find the job family. We'll go into these details. Within the job families, that's where you will find several roles where you can function and grow in. And that's where you begin to develop your skills. And of course, as you are developing your skills, your aim is to ensure that you are swimming with the sharks and digging with the donkeys. I will explain this when I move further because of the brevity of time. Now, let's look at the areas that I was trying to talk about. Now, when we talk about the oil and gas spectrum, we are looking at E&P companies, and we are looking at gas processing companies, we are looking at refining companies, we are looking at EPC companies. I personally work for an EPC company, although it's in a refinery sector, but it's an EPC company. They design and build and commission process systems and process equipment. There's the storage, supply, and transportation, and there are other service companies, and of course, there are regulatory bodies. Depending on how you want to charter your course within the oil and gas spectrum, you can find yourself working, remember job, working in any of these places. However, you can decide that I want to spend some portion of my time in gas processing, some portion of my time in refining, some portion of my time in E&P, And that way I'll be able to get the necessary skills to be able to be this kind of person. I will show you where there are some skills that some job roles that you cannot attain until you have both certain level of expertise, experience, and knowledge. And so whilst you find the particular area you want to function in, it is very necessary that you also find the career family you want to be in. Now, for people who probably studied business administration and asking themselves, how do I find myself in the oil and gas sector? Irrespective of the industrial area that you find yourself, you can also find a space within the family where you can work. For example, if you choose that, okay, although I studied mechanical engineering, but I want to focus on safety and risk, you can become a process safety engineer. You can become an HSC officer. You can become a risk analyst. All of these things are not limited to your discipline. It's a career family. You can choose the area where you want to function. You can decide that you want to go into trading and commercial. There are engineers who are working as schedulers, as commercial analysts, as crew traders, as production audit engineers. All of these people are functioning in these career families. These career families, I go back again, are embedded in the industrial areas. And so you find yourself working in one or two of these industrial areas. And within these industrial areas, that is where you begin to see the career family. And so somebody is very much interested in projects. I remember 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I closed from church, and there's this guy in my church. He just finished university, and I just liked his vibe. And so I started chatting up with him. And I asked him, what is that thing that makes you think? What's that one thing that you want to keep doing for a very long time? And he came back to me in a month's time and said, I love the concept of projects. I want to see how we start a project from each individual phases till you reach the commissioning phase. And I was like, man, you need to major in project engineering. He went did a master's in project management, and is currently working for a logistics company where they supply logistics for various industrial purposes. Now, depending on where your interest, like I said, you find your strength and your disciplines combined will determine how you can play around from engineering. Either you want to go into QA, QC, asset management, you want to go into as a pipeline engineer. These are discipline engineering areas where, for example, if you studied, let's say marketing, you can't find yourself doing corrosion engineering. That's way out of your line. However, one of the things that is very beneficial to engineers is that irrespective of how we study our program, I will show you one thing else where when we are attached to it, we can become cross-disciplinary. And so related job positions within organizations that share similar characteristics, skills, responsibilities, and career paths. So if you are going to be, you say, I want to be a maintenance and reliability expert in the next 10 years, that is your career goal. That's your career objective. You find yourself in any of this industrial area and you begin to build yourself. You may start up as a mechanical technician, as a maintenance technician, as a mechanical engineering in training, but as you are building your expertise and knowledge in reliability engineering, in asset management, in rotationary equipment, stationary equipment, as you are harnessing all this knowledge, you probably work as a maintenance planner, you were the CMMS coordinator for a while. As you are building all this expertise over the years, after 10, 15 years, you find yourself to be an experienced maintenance and reliability professional. Let's delve into other career families, which I always say that these are areas where non-conventional engineering persons find themselves. And so I've met a lot of persons who do not necessarily hold a first degree or a background in engineering, but they find themselves working deep-handed in the oil and gas industry. Legal and compliance. Legal area is booming these days in the oil and gas sector. Data analysis and IT, Environment and sustainability. Personally, my wife, she's an ESG analyst. She's very much interested in sustainability concepts. And these are areas that for we engineers who like that, I studied petrochemical engineering, but in this day and age of climate science and net zero agenda, finding yourself as ESG analyst will really give you a lot of work to do, where you can showcase your skills. Business operations analysis. These are areas that are part of the production operations that are becoming very crucial. For example, operations excellence. These are areas that are coming. It's a process improvement engineering role where you bring in Six Sigma principles to be able to maintain and operate very well, especially at highest efficiency. You are looking at optimization engineers, where you are developing mathematical models and economic models. So most of them are probably petroleum engineers, mechanical engineers, chemical engineers, but they end up as optimization engineers because they are developing models that are running. For example, they are either refinery planners, they are production well planners. They understand how the well is down there, but they understand how much oil is there, how much money it is, how much when it comes out, how much it will cost, how much the whole production. Because they have the technical know-how, they are able to convert their technical know-how into economic analysis and financial analysis, for which the business leaders are looking for. In this day and age, we are beginning to have a work and skill dynamics that is beginning to prevail. And this is the area where I want young persons to really pay attention to, in the sense that when it comes to work dynamics, I mean, the way we do work is changing on its own. COVID came and most people were doing their work remotely. That is becoming. But one of the key things about skill dynamics is cross-disciplinary skills, where you are an engineer, but you are required to have a legal background. I've seen jobs online from any of the industry areas, and they are looking for a legal representative, but the person should have at least 10 years in oil and gas industry, engineering background. I'm like, well, how are they expecting to get these things? And so these are the cross-disciplinary areas that are coming up. You are finding an engineer with accounting background. A few years ago, I had a colleague who got a job. He couldn't qualify because they needed an engineer with an accounting and auditing background. And he was very amazed that these are two different paths. Of course, these are areas that are coming up. Engineers with AI/ML skills. Now, I mean, this is becoming even more prevalent, especially as modeling is becoming a key thing in the oil and gas industry. HSC with medical background. Now, can someone mute themselves? HSC with medical background. Now, apart from looking at the core roles of most HSC officers, now we are looking at where you have a site, and in the site you need to have a clinic, but you need to have an HSC person who understands medicine, or a medical person who understands HSC. I currently have a doctor friend who was trained from Russia, and he has all the NEBOSH certificates for safety, and he's practicing as a medical consultant in terms of occupational safety. safety and hazard. These are areas that are becoming prevalent. Now, somebody goes to school, studies sociology, he knows how to lobby with the government, he knows how to lobby with the people, and the oil and gas firm is getting them to talk about net zero, getting them to talk about the effect of climate. And you're asking yourself, I studied petrochemical engineering, I studied petroleum engineering, I did my master's in subsea, yet I'm not finding a role. But you find somebody who studied sociology and he did probably a master's in climate science, and then they are getting something to do. These are job dynamics that are coming up, and these are areas where I want people to also pay attention to, so that you can be able to find a significant area to be able to function. Engineering with finance. I knew one of my seniors. His first degree was in chemical engineering, and his master's was in finance. And he became an optimization engineer because he was able to model production based business production models. He was able to develop these business production models, and that's because he was able to combine his process engineering skills along with his finance skills, which he was able to merge engineering and economics. That's another area. Modeling is, like I said, modeling is becoming a big thing when it comes to, because everybody wants to be able to quantify whatever you are saying. And that's how come these areas are going up. Now, the thing about these areas that are coming up is that you must aim for the top skills. And one of the top skills which we need to understand is experience. Before anybody will hire you, they want to have a sense that you have done this job before. If you have done the job before, you stand a greater chance at being given the nod than somebody who has never done the job before. And so let's not trivialize the whole idea of experience. Experience is very, very, very necessary and it is a top skill to have done the same or similar role before. Safety and risk is becoming predominant because of the nature of oil and gas operations. And so irrespective of whatever areas that you're finding yourself, they are demanding safety and risk as an integral part of your job. Business operation analysis like optimization modeling, operations excellence, assurance, operations readiness, these are areas that are coming up, and you need to also pay attention to these areas. And like I explained again, cross-disciplinary skills that you are an engineer, but you have a legal background that can be able to get you to assist the company in areas that are very needed. Industry and role-specific softwares. For example, CMMS coordinators in the past have relied on Excel, where I personally, when I was working with my former company, I developed a CMMS for my department, which is computerized maintenance management system. You can easily develop them in Excel. But these days, we have top firms who are sticking to industry standard softwares like Maximo and the rest. And so they will demand that if you say you want to be or you want to work as a maintenance planner, then we are looking for somebody who knows how to use Maximo, who knows how to use all the other softwares that are related to that area. Process engineering, you're looking at Aspen Tech. There are several softwares that are coming up, and they need somebody who is going to manage this asset management systems. They need people who are going to manage these things. And so developing skills in this industry and role-specific softwares gives you a upper hand. Now, some of the things that most young people don't want to hear is the fact that when you are building a career, it's going to take your entire life. They assume that as for a career, it's a 2-day thing. I mean, I put in the energy. It's been 2 years. I need to be senior, whatever. I need to be principal, that I need to be head of. It takes a long while, and it's that's why I put it that it's a lifelong journey. It's something that you are doing for the entire for your entire span of life. And so you must be committed to the entire journey. And the journey will come with hurdles and obstacles, either from your own firm. Sometimes you might be working in a firm that does not provide growth. And so you might have to leave the place and go to somewhere else. You might be in a place where you are trying to even get jobs and you are not getting jobs. These are obstacles that comes along. Sometimes you might develop a lifelong illness along with doing your daily routine job. And these are things that can limit your performance. Never underestimate swimming with the sharks. One of the things I've realized with young people is that the moment they step into an organization, the moment they step into an institution, the first thing they want to do is to swim with the sharks. Great idea. But you see, you must be able to collaborate with your peers regularly, which I call jigging with the donkeys. If you are not able to do the actual job, the essence of swimming with the sharks become non-significant. You need to be able to get the job done, build team collaboration skills, build working with other people, learn interconnectedness, learn these things. It makes when you are networking with people who we call them the sharks, and they are recommending us for opportunities, we are not intimidated. It's not like you see someone, he's a well completions manager, and then in our language you want to unwish the person because you think he can give you a role. Meanwhile, he may not have the time to teach you the nitty-gritties of the job. The person who will teach you the nitty-gritties with the job is your regular peer, who probably is 2 or 3 years ahead of you, but they will introduce you to the basic concepts of doing your daily routine. And if you do your daily routine well, it's just a matter of time before those sharks that you are swimming with will give you the opportunities that you're looking for. So what are the key takeaways from all these 10 slides that I've shared with you? One of the things you need to keep in mind is that if you are job-oriented, you might be limited in scope, limited in opportunities. And because I get people who say, I studied petrochem. If I don't work in the petrochemical industry, I am done for. I have literally heard people say that. And they're like, so where am I going to get jobs? And I'm like, you went to school for 4 years to go and study petrochemical engineering, and all you think is to work for a petrochemical company. Apart from that, you are done for. But if you are that career oriented, you see beyond the principles of just a job role. You see various functions, areas, industries, and career families that you can find yourself functioning in. You can reinvent yourself and move along in the career path. Sometimes some paths are slow. You can just jump onto the next lane by reinventing yourself. You are in the process operations area. You find out that process operations is slow. You reinvent yourself. You get some certification. You jump onto maintenance. You feel like maintenance is too slow. You get some certification. You jump onto some, because all these are transferable skills that you can build together and match yourself along the way. So someone like when you know how to reinvent yourself, you are not afraid of being laid off because you know you've got the skills, and because you've got the skills, you can easily be hired anytime, any day. Learn new ways of doing things in your area of expertise. I know individuals who get stuck to only the principles they've learned from school because, of course, they've chewed and taught it out. That is what they have. Industry, like I said, work dynamics is changing. Skill dynamics is changing. If you feel you need some economics background, go get it. If you feel you need some safety background, go get it. If you feel you need some legal perspective, go get it. Learn new ways of getting the job done. And we can never take delivering on the job out. You must be able to deliver on the job top notch. When they mention your name, it must be attached to, as for this guy, he will get the job done. If that does not come attached with your name, then there's a problem. Your name must go together with that guy who always gets the job done. I'll finish sharing my 10 slides, and I hope it will be of importance to any person who wish to learn. Clement.
Wow. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Clement, I'm done with my presentation.
Yes, thank you very much, Daniel. It was a wonderful presentation, and I think we have really learned a lot. Building a career is a long life journey. There's something I've really learned. But Daniel, to you again. You know, many people do complain that getting to the industry is very difficult. You have to go through a long process, going to see HR, being rejected, trying to get yourself up there. So my question to you is, how has the landscape of the oil and gas industry in Ghana changed in recent years, especially in terms of employment opportunities?
All right. If you look at 10, 15 years ago, we didn't have so many of the opportunities that we are having today. The industry is growing. And as it's growing, of course, it's paving way for more people to come in. And in coming in, you must be able to show what you can present. It's not because you went and studied petroleum engineering or you studied chemical engineering or mechanical engineering gives you the right to. That's what most people feel like, oh, I studied this course, so I should be given this opportunity. No, it is a skill for exchange game. There must be something you are bringing on board. There are so many people who never went to look for a job. They were poached. So it's very important. And like I said, networking is very important, especially horizontal networking. Like I said, networking with your peers. I'm somewhere in the Middle East working, not as a result of a vertical network. It was through a horizontal network. I had a colleague who was already working here before. He gave me the link and asked me to speak to the commissioning engineer. I spoke with the commissioning engineer, and then I came on board. And so sometimes it's just knowing what they want, prepare for it, and deliver. Thank you.
Wow, awesome. Know what they want, prepare for it, and then deliver. This is very amazing. This is very amazing. It means that those who have been thinking that the oil and gas industry is very difficult. I think what you need to do is to build your horizontal networking. It's very, very important for you to be able to secure a spot in the oil and gas industry. Since it's not easy and they want people with competence, people who deliver well, and also people who would give their best and not make mistakes. We don't want mistakes. Wow, awesome. Sheena, please, to you. So, per what Daniel shared, he has spoken a lot. So, could you share your personal journey in the industry and explain what inspired you to choose your career path so that we all learn from it? Sheena, over to you.
Hi, Clement. Thank you. And thank you, Daniel, so much for that presentation. I feel with all that you shared, we can just close. We don't even need to continue, but yeah. For me, what can I say? When I was going to the university, at the time, Ghana had not even announced that they had discovered oil or anything. So it wasn't one of the areas I was looking at. I actually was going to the university to read medicine. And so when there was also the options of other engineering courses to be done, I was so fixated at the time on medicine. I was like, no, I have to do medicine because I wanted to become a heart surgeon. And so I opted to go to Legon. My time, you have to do biological science. And then in the second year, you would continue to do medicine. And so it happens that I didn't get medical school. But at Legon, I think level 100 or level 200, I can't clearly remember now which of the levels, we were all meant to do a compulsory introduction to geology course. So that was my very first introduction to geology. And I was like, this sounds quite interesting. And so when medical school didn't work, there was the option that you had to also register for the other options and get ready before the time for selecting other courses. And then I heard there was a few of the other students who were also going. In Legon at the time, you needed to do geology. You had to go to, when you want to do geology, you have to start from level 200. But here I was going to level 300, and I now want to start the geology, which means I should go back and then repeat level 200 and then do the geology. But some way, somehow, only for that year, there were about 10 of us. The department decided that, you know what, we'll register you to do the geology, but you will not repeat level 200. You'll be in level 300. You will do both the level 200 and level 300 courses at the same time. And since these courses were all in the same department, the lecturers were able to be a bit flexible so that we don't have some clashes or even if there were, it was very minimal. So the workload was more, but all of us were able to finish. And then just at the time we were completing school, Ghana made the announcement that they had discovered oil. So it was good news for all of us. In fact, before finishing school, the department organizes field trips to all the mining companies for us to, because at the time our geology was more geared towards mining. So I remember when we go for the field trips, I felt, wow, the mining areas were quite remote, and then the rotation was it wasn't so good. So I had this friend in class, I used to tell her, I think I will go to Kuwait to work in the oil fields. And she kept saying, why Kuwait? I was like, I don't know, it seemed quite interesting. And then Ghana had also discovered oil. So I knew that, okay, when I'm done, for sure, I'll leave the country and go and work in the oil field somewhere. And so when we finished, and then they had just announced that Ghana has discovered oil, I actually started doing my national service in a mining company. And then just around when we're about to finish national service, the gold prices had gone so low. So the company had to stop. A lot of the mining companies stopped, just like in the oil companies. Whenever the prices go down, they all reduce their exploration. So of course, all the exploration geologists they had to let them go. And then I moved back from the field to Accra office. Then one of the exploration guys who was let go at the time passed through the office during lunchtime, and he said he was with another colleague. They were going to submit their CVs to one of the service companies that they had come to Ghana. And so they looked for the company, but they couldn't find it, and they were tired. So they've come back to our office to rest, and then they called the person who gave them the information that they needed to get proper direction. So whilst they were going, I was like, okay, then why don't you just add my CV so that we can all, we'll see what will come out of it. And then that was how my CV was submitted. We all were called for interviews. We did the interviews. HR people were changed. We were called to write aptitude tests. We did the aptitude test and another interview again. And then that was how I started off in the service company. So for me, it wasn't like I went to university with the sight in mind that, no, this was what I was going to do in geology, or I was going to end in the oil industry. I went to the university with a totally different mindset. But along the way, when I realized that I had to adapt, I had to change, I don't have to be fixated on, okay, this is what I want to do. So for sure, because it was, I think, about 2 years or so after we finished that as the UCC also started the postgraduate medical school. So that was not even something that was even there, our time for me to say, okay, that was even an option. So for me, it was a good opportunity to take when the oil industry was just starting in Ghana, And then that was how I entered, by working for one of the top oil field service companies in the world. Yeah. Let me end there for now so that I don't talk too much, Clement.
Thank you very much, Sishna, for this insightful journey I've shared. It just reminds me of me going to university for the first time. I also had a mindset of doing medicine, and then I don't know what happened. I ended up doing oil and gas engineering. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes, Derek, to you, please. Shina shared a lot. Can we also hear from you your experience? What are the key attributes and skills that are essential for success in the oil and gas sector in Ghana? What about you, Derek?
Yeah, Clemens, thank you very much. No, Daniel, that was excellent. As Sheena said, I think we can end here. You did justice to this topic, and you've made our work very easy from this point. And Sheena's story is amazing as well, because I wanted to be an aerospace engineer, but then I ended up being a petroleum engineer, and I've never regretted it. So I would say, before I talk about the skills and attributes, one thing I want everyone to understand is they are two separate things, but they work together. The skills can be learned, because most of us have to go through a process of building them as time goes on. The attributes, some of them are inherent, some of them are learned and picked up whilst you're growing up, others with the people you interact with, and all that. And all that can be shaped. So it's important you know the difference, because I've had instances where people go like, oh, I'm an introvert, and then they want me to always be involved in groups. I can work alone by myself and stuff like that. You can be an introvert and still work in a team and be the vocal one in the team. When you are done, you can go home and go and spend time by yourself. So as Daniel talked about, you need to be able to adapt in the environment you find yourself in. So in my career, one of the things I've seen that has been very key to the progress I've made has always been my mindset. I've always had at the back of my mind that it can't be done. So why can't I do it? It's very important you have that. Once you have that in your mind, as the individual sitting there, you need to have a plan for yourself. What plan do you have for your career? What do you think you need to learn? What do you think you need to add to your career? Where do you need to switch? Because as Sheena talked about, the industry goes through what we call a vicious cycle. Sometimes the prices are high, people recruit, they do all sort of projects. Sometimes the prices are low. Most companies are in to make profit. They are not a charitable organization, so they will cut their losses. So people lose their jobs and stuff like that. But how do you stay inside in an environment like that and survive that whole process? Because I've been working for close to 14, 15 years now. I've been through, I think it's about 2 downturns, I guess, already in a very short time.
2 major ones, yeah.
2 major ones, not small ones, really big ones. and we've made it through. And one of the things that helped me a lot is the ability to adapt in the industry. I started off as a petroleum engineer. I'm an engineer in and out. I always loved to do engineering. But I saw that at a point in time in my career, I needed to understand the business and how the business works. So one of the skills that I picked up was how to adapt. I realized that the business is not just engineering. You have the engineers who do all the job and do all the stuff that runs the business. But then we have the guys who make the decision. Or the guys, if you work in the service companies, the guys who go out bidding for the jobs. We usually call them the BD guys or the business development guys. These are the guys who go and talk to the client, tell them we have these stuff, we have this. They are the ones who look at the numbers and go like, okay, if I have this job, I can sustain the company over a period of time. So you sit back, you look at it, and you're like, okay, this is how the business runs. How do I fit it? So in my career, one of the things that helped me a lot skill-wise was how to adapt. You need to know where in the industry fits, where it's booming, which side you need to be in, which side and some of these things you can't do them just when the downturn is happening. You need to anticipate. So you need to put yourself in a position where even though you are an engineer, you understand the business side of the business. You understand the economic side of the business. So it's not you that goes there, oh, and I'm an engineer, I need these tools and this stuff to work and it has to be done. You need to quickly understand that before someone makes a decision for purchase or makes a decision to go with something, he's looked at the numbers and he's seen that the money that I'm going to put in, I'm going to get this amount of money back. So if I make this decision, it would help the company or not. Otherwise, as an engineer, you're always going to be sitting there frustrated why you want to do something and the guys are not releasing the money and stuff for you. So it's important to understand that part of the business. So when that happens to you, you are constantly looking at other avenues to move into in the industry. When it comes to the attribute part, I've heard guys say that, oh, I can't talk in front of people. They need to let me be. I need to. I think for most of, I would call them the Gen Z guys, it's very easy for them to be like that, because I've had a lot of trainees come through my hands over the past years, and as Daniel mentioned, as soon as they get into the office, they want to start swimming with the sharks and forgetting the fact that they need to roll with people on their level 2-3 years ahead of them to be able to learn the business. So what they do is they sink in their shell. Let me tell you something. One thing about career that Daniel mentioned that is very strange that a lot of people don't realize is when you start working, the first few years of your working career, between 2, 3, 4 years of your career, you are constantly going to feel inadequate. You are constantly going to doubt yourself. You are constantly going to be at a point where you get some project done and they go like, good job. And all of a sudden something pops up in front of you and you have no clue. It's very depressing. But one of the attributes you need to give yourself during that period is you need to be very confident, not in the job you have, as Daniel said, but in the career you are building. And this goes to show that you believe in yourself. So in this case, when you are very confident in your abilities, in what you can deliver, in what you can do, and you're very confident about the plan you have for yourself and how you are developing yourself across different areas of the business, so you are very flexible. When something happens and maybe you lose your job or there's a change of job and they want to move you to another department, you don't see it as a retrogression, or you don't see it as a break in you as an individual in your growth. It's very important, the attribute, because sometimes when people come into the office straight from school, a lot of things, let me tell you the truth, most people who hire you on in the first year or two don't expect much from you. They want you to be teachable. They want to be able to teach you. But your confidence in you as the individual, knowing that I can learn, I can do this, and I will get to that point where I need to get to, is very important. Otherwise, it will show off you. If people start working with you and you are doubting yourself and you are not sure of yourself and you feel like they don't really see your relevance, or you think that you are not really important, it will show on you. And when that happens, it shows in your work. And when people constantly have to correct you on little bits and pieces of the work you do, there's something they call, I think it was Sam that talked about it. It's between, or it wasn't somewhere, we talked about it somewhere in career. There's something we call the halo effect, and there's something we call the horn effect. I think it was, I remember, I forgot who talked about it. But basically, what will happen to you is, if you doubt yourself, you're not confident in your abilities. This is not the fact that you're a petroleum engineer, you're a first-class student. Nah, it's not that. It's the belief in you, the individual, and what you are capable of doing and how you are capable of adapting, and you as you, not what you have. because what you have can be taken away from you. The ability that is inside of you, inbuilt, is what makes you. You're confident in that. So when anything changes on you, you can adapt. What happens to you is if you doubt yourself and you constantly show it and it affects your work without even opening your mouth, something happens to you where they call the horn effect. So I'll give a simple story about something that happened to one of my colleagues I worked with years back, and it affected him throughout his career. He doubted himself so bad that anytime you took him on a job, he was always shy. He was always afraid. So anytime he's working, he's making a lot of mistakes. And what happens to the horn effect is people start branding you like, this guy is not good. This guy, whatever you do to him, he won't try. And what people do is they cut you off. So now everyone wants to go on the job and no one wants to go on the job with you. How are you going to develop like that? And digging yourself into a hole like that becomes very difficult to come out. So it's very important that at least in the areas of your career, whilst you're going ahead and building that, you're very confident, not in what you have as assets and your certificate and stuff, but in your abilities as an individual to know that you can, you will, and it will happen in you. So when things change on you, as Daniel said, you are not afraid because you've developed and built yourself, and you need to be able to adapt. So these are some of the things. There's a lot of them because there's a lot of books on skills and attributes and career. Just read on them, try and understand them. But it's very important that you have a lot of confidence in your abilities as an individual to make it in this industry. Because the oil industry, as Sheena will tell you, it's not a joke. It's difficult. It's for 2 years, almost 3 years of my working life when I started my career, the maximum I was ever home was like a week or two. I was jumping from one job to the other. And sometimes it's difficult, but you need to be able to adapt and grow as a person. And as Daniel talked about, your career, have a plan for it. Know where you want to be, how you need to get there. In my case, I had to work for 5 years before I decided what I wanted to do my master's in, because for a long time, I wasn't too sure about it, which is fine. Don't beat yourself up on it. It's fine. It's fine to have doubts about where you want to be or what you want to add to your skills or your work to be able to get to where you need to get to. It's fine. And that's why the likes of the sharks are there. People who are ahead of you, people who have done it, who've been there. Speak to them, engage them, talk to them. Whatever it is, you're having doubts in your career, you're having confusion, talk to these people. They are there to guide you. They are not there to tell you exactly what to do. They are there to guide you. And that's the beauty of it. And by speaking to all these people, there's clarity in it. So it's important that you have all these things as you build your career, because it's exciting when you have a career rather than have a job. Clement, over to you.
Thank you very much, Derek. This was very, 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 very educative, and I think you have shared enough, and we have all learned from it that taking things slow, you can be confused, but it is never the end. You can still keep on learning. That's awesome. Daniel, let me ask you a question, okay? So we have said a lot, but I would like to back to you. Can you address what challenges are unique to the Ghanaian oil and gas industry, and how can newcomers or people who are new to the industry prepare to meet this kind of challenges? Since you have worked in Ghana for some time, even though you are no longer working in Ghana for now, can you address this issue?
All right. Challenges range from personal challenges to job challenges and industrial challenges. industrial challenges, like, for example, when there could be downturn, which could affect a lot of people, and career downturn in the sense that maybe you are pursuing a career that it's almost dead end. They are no longer doing that particular role anymore. But apart from that, most young persons struggle is getting into the industry. That's most people struggle. And this is what I always tell young people when they struggle to get into the industry is that I didn't talk about it when I was talking about job versus career, in the sense that you could be doing something else, but which is a job which is paying you. But the experience you garner from that job you're doing. I had a colleague who we did our national service together. I was retained. He went to work in the bank and later found himself in an oil company and was working for them. Now, what he was doing at the bank was quite similar to what he was doing at the oil firm. He became a business development engineer, and I was like, how do you make those transitions? And he explained to me that when he was in the bank, he was made to go and make money, go and bring in more money, marketing. And the experience he had from those places made him gain a lot of experience that he brought on board when he was transitioning into the oil and gas industry. And so there are a lot of areas you can look out for. That's why I gave a spectrum of opportunities in the oil and gas industry. You might be looking at getting to become a petroleum engineer, but if you are very familiar with trends in, for example, in offshore engineering, you realize that CCUS is something that is coming on board, and not only even in offshore industry, even in refinery. I have a colleague who works at ADNOC, Abu Dhabi Oil Refinery, and in Abu Dhabi Oil Refinery, they are currently building a carbon capture, utilization, and storage integration unit into their refinery. And so, once you start up and say, okay, let me start championing net zero agenda, you are almost like a climate scientist. You are writing articles. You are reporting for top firms like Africa Energy Report, doing researches for McKinsey and Wood. While you are doing these things, you are building the capability and the skills required when maybe you get a job to be a CCUS integrations engineer. And so these are some of the challenges that comes with working in the industry. But you must find I'm tempted to use an engineering term. You must find a debottlenecking system where you can begin from those areas and then merge, you debottleneck into the industry.
Wow, thank you very much, Daniel. This was also very insightful. Sheena, please, this question goes to you. Can you discuss the importance of local expertise and knowledge in advancing one's career in the oil and gas industry in Ghana, since Daniel has tackled the challenges that one can face during the search for a job in the oil and gas industry? Thank you.
Yeah, so for me, the local expertise comes into play for us in Ghana, working in a particular locality. So you work in Ghana, you know the key challenges that is being faced here. So when the international companies are coming in, who better than those of us who know the terrain, who knows the geology, who knows what exactly is in place, than to hire us? And I think the Petroleum Commission has also been very good in the essence of insisting on all those international companies having JVs. So for us, we shouldn't only look at the big international firms. There are lots of local firms that are also equally doing well, and most of them are joint partners to all these international firms. Those are other places that people can also look at to enter into the industry. You don't only have to look at the big super majors or the big service companies. You need to look at the JVs, do your research. How can I get in there? And we have all talked about having different skills or developing different skills. You don't only, and there are times you don't only have to even apply for a job with only the sort of qualification you have. You just want to put your leg into the door, or you want to enter. So even if your experience is in one specific area, and then you see a job in a different area, but still in the industry, apply for it anyway. Because what we've all realized across over the years, a lot of the companies would even give you their own training. So it does not even really matter what you did in school. You would get trained according to how they want their stuff done, especially in the first 3 to 5 years. And even after those years, every now and then you go for other courses, other trainings, which comes in handy. So a lot of times you have to learn how to adapt to the situation, to the localities, what is going on currently in Ghana. Unfortunately, we don't have so many companies drilling right now. At the moment, there's only one company that has drilled or coal, that's as far as we all know. But that shouldn't deter us. There are several other opportunities within the industry that is going on that people can tap into. Thank you, Clement.
Thank you, Sheena, for this wonderful talk. Yes, so as Sheena was saying, it's very important we learn to adapt. Doesn't matter the course you did, doesn't matter where you find yourself. Once you get into the job, you can find ways and means to climb, to learn, because the experts in there or the company would always like to teach you, to train you on the job. Thank you very much, Sheena, once again. Derek, I have some couple of questions to you. So in light of the global shifts towards renewable energy, because everybody has this perception that crude might finish.
Well, that's a good one. Yes, crude will.
From crude oil. How do you see long-term career sustainability in Ghana's oil and gas industry?
Yeah, that's a good point. It's kind of one of the discussions that goes on quite a lot with people who are fresh out of school. And then I get to talk to a lot of parents who have their kids planning on wanting to do petroleum as well. And the question gets asked a lot. Yes, crude will finish, but it's good to know that it will not be in our lifetime for us. The reason being that there's a lot of untapped potential that has not been explored and all that. But the nice thing to know about all this is, even though we are in a business which involves us, people create a lot of debt. Just a minute, I need to pick this call. 1 minute. Yeah, Dom. But on my side location to know if you're waiting me about. Banana Chrome last of Obano my son or map, so just type of map so Banana Chrome last of all right. Yeah, sorry about that. So it will not end in our lifetime. Daniel talked about the carbon capture. That's a good project ongoing. That's our quota to helping the environment as well. You can learn a skill there. There's the sustainability side as well. Basically, what most of them are doing is, if you are producing this amount of carbon into the atmosphere, what are you doing to offset that? So a couple of the companies are planting trees. Others are doing a lot of projects to try and deal with this as well as we go on. The reason being that the oil and gas industry will be around for a while in our lifetime, maybe years to come, 100, 200 years to come, maybe they'll be out of it. But in our lifetime, it's something that we don't have to boil our head down into. It's a very sensitive topic. And that is why I'm being very careful on how I present it. Because obviously, We have the electric cars coming up. We have the wind farms coming up. People are talking about all sort of this renewable energy coming up and all that. It's been going on for a while now. But the amount of energy the world requires to sustain itself over this period can't be done by these renewables. And that is why oil and gas will continue to be there. We used to have coal. Coal has faded out. But there are certain countries that still burn coal to move their industries and things like that. So it's not going to happen just within that period. It's going to happen over a period of time. So one thing I tell most of the graduates and most of the people who are thinking about the oil and gas industry is to understand that everything comes to an end at a point in time. But the industry we find ourselves in is not going to come to an end in the next 5 or 10 years. Maybe someone might say, oh, you don't know what the future holds. Yes, we all don't know what the future holds. But for now, what we can do is to build and develop that part of where we find ourselves in and try and find me. So, some companies, the big companies like Shell and BP and Exxon and stuff like that, you could see if you look at their planning for the years to come, they've shifted, most of them are shifting away from pure oil exploration, and they're going into gas, which is clean energy, termed clean energy. So you need to be able to move with the times as they come. So it's not something that the young engineer or the young professional wanting to come into the industry should be worried too much about now. So as much as possible, develop the skills you need to come in and help us build something that would help move the world to where we need to get it to. So to answer that question, not in our lifetime, it's a tricky subject. So someone might beg to differ on that part, and that is why opinions are there.
Wow. Crude will finish, but not now. Awesome. All right. Derek, still on you. So what advice would you give to recent graduates aspiring to enter the Ghanaian oil and gas industry?
Yes, so Sheena touched on that. Don't go all for the majors, and mostly now we have ANI, we have Tullow, we have Cosmos, and then we have the other companies that are wanting to come in. And then the service companies, the Bakers, the Schlumbergers, and all that, these are the big companies. There are local companies as well around who are willing to give you that opportunity to develop. The Ghana oil and gas industry is a very small part. And now, to tell you the truth, I am so happy about what we are seeing in our transition now in the Ghana oil and gas industry. What we are seeing is we are seeing the likes of Daniel, the likes of other engineers who are now going global. Because the industry has been on for a while now, so people have developed skills that allows them to go global and fill up the global gaps that are there. And what this is doing is this is creating a gap in the industry for new professionals to come in. When you come in, you will be trained. So don't worry about that. Getting in is the hard part. It's the hard part. Because I always give this example. We were the first batch of petroleum engineers trained in Ghana. There were about 14 of us. I am the only one who works at Tullow now. A couple of the guys are the only people working somewhere now. All of us won't fit in one place. So we are all going to spread our wings across. So whatever place you find yourself now, the skills you are developing now, it's very, very important that you take it seriously. It's very key. Let me give you an example. When I joined my previous company, Expro, I started off from the field, worked on the field, came into the office, did engineering. At a point in time, went in to do the business development and learn the business side of the things, the finance part of the things, and how the business is run. And I did this because I had a vision for myself of where I wanted to end up in my career. Years down the line, I got poached by Tullow to come in and work for them. Now I sit in the place where all all the skills I learned over in my previous company has become so vital to the role that I do now, because now I understand the whole cycle of the business, because I chose to take every part I was put in seriously. Daniel gave the example about his colleague that worked at the bank. The bank guys are the ones who go for the money and try and convince people to spend their money and stuff like that. Now he's working business development. Business development is all about crunching the numbers and looking at what you have to see the services you can provide and how much money you can make to sustain your business. That is what he did from the bank. And now he's come to where he is. When I'm talking to people about this side of things, I always use this example from the Bible, which is always the parable of the talents. It always says that to each one he gave according to their abilities. To one he gave one, to one he gave two, to one he gave 5. All the ones he gave more decided to build on what they have. The one that sat there and said, oh, why did you give me one? Why did you give these guys this and gave me one? Took it away from the person. That is what happens to you if you find yourself in a place where you think it's not important and you decide not to learn. Strangely enough, life will put you in a position where you will be working in an environment where you will need the skills that you had the chance to train on in the past. And if you don't take it seriously, it will bite you. So you need to understand that wherever you find yourself, it is very key. A lot of people meet me and go like, oh, Derek, you're very confident. You're able to interact with people. You're able to do this, do that. It will be so surprising to you to find out that I learned those skills of how to interact with people, how to convince people, how to stand in front of people and present my case when I stayed back in the university to be a teaching assistant. That was where I learned all those skills. And I took it seriously as much as possible, because you have to stand in front of students who are full of questions, wanting to ask you, and especially being a fresh graduate, some students want to prove to you that, yeah, I know as much as you. So you constantly have to be ready to answer their questions, and they need to build the confidence in you standing in front of them to teach you. I learned all that from that. I could have gone like, oh, my friends are all in the industry. Why am I being in school teaching and just trying? Sometimes I won't go to class. I'll just hide in the background and all that. And I would have lost the ability to develop a skill like that. So the advice I want to give you as young graduates or as people who are fresh in the industry is to understand that wherever you find yourself to work, be it small, be it big, you have the opportunity to learn a skill that would come in very handy in the future in wherever position you find yourself. And it would be amazed, you'll be amazed to find out that it would help you in your current location or your current position you find yourself. So whatever you are doing now, take it seriously. It's the same thing as being in school. You are in school. You are there. A lot of people tell, oh, school is not important. That's where a lot of the Gen Zs, oh, I can do this, finish, go and start work and all that. The whole idea for school is to see whether you can be able to finish a task you were given. And the task is go to class, learn, write an exam, pass. Go to class, learn, write an exam, pass. Make friends, interact with people, work in groups, all that. When you come into the working environment, it's the same thing. You come in, you are trained, you are given a task, but then now the task you are given has value to it. And the value is you are either helping somebody, you are making money for the company. And in an industry like that, mistakes are not forgiven. They are very costly. So all the things, normal school, all the skills you are building in school, and that's the reason why you can sit in school and you can see how serious certain people are. And then you be like, oh, this person will make it. But well, life always has a way of turning things and anything can change. But the most important thing is wherever you find yourself, whatever skill you are learning, whatever thing you are being taught in the environment or where you find yourself, take it seriously. Never rubbish, anything you find yourself doing, because they always tend to come in handy. And it's important to keep that at the back of your mind. Because honestly, if you train yourself well and you find yourself in a good place, working and making a life for yourself, you would come to understand that adulthood is not really a scam. It's actually beautiful. I know a lot of people are going like, oh, Derek, this one you're talking because, but you will understand later on. It's important. Use what you have now, use it well, learn it well. It will come in handy in the future. And you'll be amazed how important it would be for you. So never rubbish anywhere you find yourself. It's important you do that. Never rubbish them.
Wow, that has been a lot. Awesome. But Derek, still on you. So basically, we have people who are working in different companies, right? Who also want to transition into the oil and gas industry. Okay, so what kind of additional training or education might they need in order to successfully transition from wherever they are to the oil and gas industry?
Yeah, that's a good one. Daniel, can you please put up your slide, the one you had the different skills additional to being an engineer and all that? There was a slide you put up that answers this question brilliantly. So I do get, whilst Daniel is putting up that slide, I do get that question as well a lot, where you have people in the banks or people in different areas wanting to come to the industry. There's someone I spoke to recently, they did something on biochemistry. They wanted to come into the industry and then try and see how best they can fit in the industry. One of the areas the industry is dealing with now, which is it's always been like that for a while now, is big data, very big data. We have so much information that we use that we need it streamlined and cleaned up, and it would help us to be able to make informed decisions and things like that. So IT skills in the industry or in the world, where the world is moving into, your IT skills is very, 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 very important. Develop that skill. If you can code, if you can write programs, if you can do things that can help ease the work that we do, it's a brilliant skill. Another one, finance. A lot of people think petroleum engineers is all about engineering and doing calculations and building stuff and all that. You'll be so interesting, or it's so interesting to know that every decision that we take is backed financially. We cannot do anything up until it's economically viable to do that. So a skill is very good to know is to understand how the numbers work. So if you are an engineer and you have a financial background, or you are an engineer and you understand how the numbers work, you are like miles ahead of your colleagues. It's very important you do that. Daniel talked about cross-training, where an engineer has ACCA, where an engineer had AI training or IT training, where an engineer or a medical person had an EHS training, or where an engineer or someone had an audit training. All these cross-functional skills are very key. You'll be surprised to know that there's an area in the industry or the area where oil and gas engineers work where we call them the cost engineers. Someone will be like, oh, wow, we actually do have cost engineers. Yes, we have cost engineers. And these cost engineers are not engineering trained. These are finance guys who are cost engineers. They are not engineering trained. So if you're sitting there and wondering, oh, as a finance guy, I can only work at the bank. No, you cannot only work at the bank. You can work with us. There are guys who are in the medical field and going like, oh, how can I get into the oil and gas industry? Health, safety, and environment is big for the oil and gas. So in our office, for instance, like this, we have a doctor. And the doctor's job is not just our well-being and all that. He's heavily involved with our guys offshore to make sure that everyone that comes in is medically fit to work there. If people have issues, they can deal with it, stuff like that. And someone is wondering, how is a doctor in the oil and gas industry? It is possible. We have guys who are military guys who work with us. We have ex-military guys who work with us. And these military guys are in an area where we call our asset protection. So all the assets we have, being our fiscal buildings in town or our facilities offshore, these guys are responsible for the safety of everyone out there. So they patrol around, they work with our Navy, they work with our Air Force guys, they work with all these guys to make sure that whatever we are doing in the industry or whatever we are doing as work is properly secured. So to answer that question on where someone is in other industries and how they can get into the oil and gas industry, the key, most important part is do your research and talk to someone. Do your research. So ask someone a simple question, like walk up to me, walk up to Sheena, walk up to Daniel, walk up to any of the senior guys around Riverson and the rest, and just ask a simple question. Oh, Derek, I work at the bank. I work in our marketing department at the bank. And I would like to come into the oil and gas industry. What are the areas I can develop myself in to fit in there? Immediately what pops up in my head, works at the bank, marketing. The first thing that pops in my head is our commercial team. So the commercial team, okay, what do the commercial team? They look at our numbers, they look at what we've done, they look at what we bring in, they look at what goes out, and then they go and speak to our partners, they go and speak to the banks to give us money to work, and then we use that money to build the value they have, the value we want, and they make money off their money. Immediately you think about that, because we are in there, we know the areas that you can fit in like that. So do your research first, and after you've done your research and you still have questions, speak to any of us, because you'll be amazed to know that the industry has space for different kinds of people or areas that would actually come in and help us build a better industry. So yes, there is room for other areas and other people to fit in the industry.
Well, thank you very much, Derek, for this message. This question goes to Daniel and then Derek. Any of you at all can answer, or both of you. Can you highlight any mentorship or development programs available within the industry that have helped guide your professional growth? Any of you can take it, please. Thank you. Daniel,
I lost you there.
Okay, so the question is, can you highlight any mentorship or development programs available within the industry that have helped guide your professional growth?
I'll let Daniel take that question. Daniel, can you take that question for me?
Okay. Personally, I have personally not been involved in so much mentoring program. Personally, I have relied on direct mentoring from my senior engineers. Sometimes they call you middle in the night. There's many times they will call you middle in the night. Tomorrow there's this meeting, and I want you to prepare this for me. I was working under this engineer who was a perfectionist, And so even if a comma goes missing, we would send the whole document as review. So do it again. And I think I learned so much from him. Because, and I also learned from another senior engineer also. He was very fantastic with mathematical modeling, and he taught me how to model a lot of things in mathematics. And I am able to do that in Excel, using Stata, using some of these Cplex, Gromby, and he introduced me into the concepts, but I fell in love with it, and I began to delve more into it. So for me, it has been direct mentoring from my senior engineers.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. They really like to see, say something on it, or I should proceed.
Yeah. Sorry, I just had to pick a call, so I lost you there. No, I think Daniel has touched on it. For us, it's key that we continue to learn. We continue to, most of the things you can find right now, the internet is full of all sort of information. So as much as possible, find out things on your own first. Because what you want, we will not know. You need to find out what you want. And once you get to what you want, because a clear example, I'm going to use Samuel here. Samuel looked at the industry, he was in school, and then he figured out that even though he's a petroleum engineer, he enjoys the economics part of the petroleum engineering. So something like this, he needs guidance on it. So you spend time, we engaged, we looked at all the options of that, and then we realized that, okay, if he wants to pursue this, this is the path he needs to take, mentorship-wise. Take this part, do this, do that, because you need to build interest in it first before you can decide what you want to do with it. So it's key that you talk to the right people as much as possible in it, because there's a lot of areas in the industry that can be combined. And I've seen a lot of people who are combining things and working on things to be able to be where they are. Because in my role like this, I work with the contract guys, I work with the finance guys, I work with the business guy, I work with the aviation guys, I work with literally everybody you can think about just to get my work done. So if I don't understand their work, I cannot do it. So I need to understand their work. So you need to understand that. So it's key that you spend a lot of time building on that, building on where you can add, like there's nothing wrong in adding more to what you need to know. So first find the interest and learn about it. And it would help you in the long run.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you very much, Derek, for this message as well. All right. So on that note, I would like to ask questions. I think many people have been wanting to ask questions, but because of time, so I'll take just 5 questions. 5 questions because of time. 5 questions. So I'm opening the floor to the audience. If you have a question, you raise your hand and then I'll allow you to speak. Thank you.
Can you check the chat box as well to see if people have questions there as well?
Okay, so from my side, I don't have any questions posted from my side here.
Okay. So if anyone has a question, please go ahead. Don't be shy. Just ask it. And then any of us will pick it up.
Okay, Beneza, I can see your hands up. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. All right. Thank you very much for this insightful presentation. Right from Sheena to Derek to Daniel, it has been very, very educative for me. I just want to ask a question. I've had one or two experiences in the midstream and then the downstream oil and gas industry, and I have a degree in chemistry. Currently, I am also undertaking a data analytics certification from ALX Africa. So I want to know the approach that I can use to land a job role in the industry. And I also want to find out about the importance of networking, considering the career acquisition in the oil and gas industry. And the last one also goes to Clement Mante. I want to find out how I can be part of SP Ghana section as a volunteer. Thank you very, very much.
Derek, please, would like to take the question before I answer his question. Thank you.
Take the part first and then I'll answer the question.
Okay, sure. So in order to become an SP member, you can see any of the officials. You can see me, or you can just give me a test. I'll send you the procedures. But to join as a young professional, there's a fee attached. So once you pay the fee, I think it's $40 or $30. Once you pay the fee, you automatically become an SP member. Then there are opportunities that are available, but most are volunteering, to which can literally get you to the top. Right. So that's one way. So once we end the session, I'll drop my number so that you just give me a test and then we'll take it from there. Thank you. Derek, over to you.
Sorry, Eb, I missed your question. Can you ask the question again? The one directed to me.
Okay, so I wanted to find out with about 1.5 years in the oil and gas industry, mainly the midstream and the downstream, and a degree in chemistry. And I'm also about to complete a data analytics certification from ALX Africa. I wanted to find out about how to construct my experience so that I can land a role in the oil and gas industry. And I also wanted you to elaborate more on the networking opportunity that one can take advantage of in the oil and gas industry and how one can get to know the experts in it. Thank you.
Okay, so I think Clement touched on the first part with the SP. The SP will give you the opportunity to be able to network with the likes of myself, Sheena, and the rest. And then we can be able to guide you in that regard as much as possible. For coming into the industry, as we talked about earlier on, it's tight, it's difficult, but you can come in. The background you are having right now is very brilliant, honestly. It's brilliant. Just a minute. Yes. So once we spend time with you, we can be able to guide you properly. Because one thing about the skills you are developing now, there's a lot of things that are popping in my head now in the areas that you can fit in. And because for us as Stellar like this, we are not just a drilling company, we also go into the production as well. So we have guys who do both. With your experience in the areas that you find yourself in, you can come in handy on the process side. So processing involves a lot of data. So with all your data skills that you're doing, there's a lot of information you can use that data will be gathering from. So there's a lot of areas that we can talk about on that regard. So what I would do is I would ask Dorothy to personally reach out to you. Dorothy, link me up with Eb. If you can add him to the people I'll be mentoring for this year and add him to the list, and then let me spend some time with them on that part, okay?
Awesome. So from the chat box, someone was asking, how do you get a mentor? I have tried, but the people I contacted were busy. Okay, so Edwin, let me take this question. So normally, every year the SP Ghana section, I think it started somewhere last year, this year, we call out for mentees and then we call out for mentors. So once you want to be a mentee, okay, we have these links posted on all over the social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, everywhere. So you just go there, click on the page, on the link, you register, and then you show your interest. We have mentors, okay, who also about to teach or guide what the mentees. So we'll pair you up and then you can take it from there. I think that will rather solve your issue. And then we have a question from Afrifa. So which of the best oil and gas company to work for in Ghana in terms of job security and opportunity for growth? Is it the local or the foreign companies? Can you give examples?
Let me take that question. So for who was that? That was Samuel, right? Samuel,
No, that,
one thing. Who
that's
asked that question?
Afrifa.
Afrifa.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me come down and be a bit straightforward with this. There is no job security. Anything can happen with a job, unless it's your dad's job. But one thing you need to understand is you need to make yourself so valuable that even if you need to switch jobs or even if you need to leave any job, you are good to go with all the skills that you've developed over the years. So don't enter a job with the mindset that you're going to stay in for life. You're entering to give your quota to the job as much as possible. And then when the opportunity comes to be somewhere else, you can go there and use your skill set and all that. Jobs change. People's priorities change. Companies change. So when you go into a job, just go and give your best and move on. So if you want job security, the best thing would be to set up your own company. And even with that, there are challenges with it. So you can come into a company, but you need to keep at the back of your mind that you are dispensable. So if you have that at the back of your mind, when you come in, you don't come with any sense of entitlement. You come in with the sense of, I am coming in to give my best, give all I can, make the company grow, and move on from there. So I know this is not the answer you were expecting, but it's something of a reality that people need to understand. There is no job that would keep you for the rest of your life. If things change, they will change you. But if you give your best and you are in there, you will be fulfilled with the work you're doing. And if anything changes because of all the skills and then the experience you have, you are good to go. Okay?
Great. There's another question also pertaining to apart from Talo, is there any other company that will be operating soon in Ghana?
Is Sheena still online?
Sheena has attended a meeting.
Okay. Daniel, do you want to take that?
You can go ahead.
Okay. So his question was, read the question back to me again. I'm trying to look at the chat.
Apart from Talo, is there any other company, oil and gas company, that will be operating soon?
Okay. So you have to be really deep inside the company to know information like this, honestly. So the companies are still working. They are still developing plans. I know Aker Energy is planning on coming back. I think now they are Pecan Energy. They're planning on coming back to drill a few wells and then develop their field, the Pecan field. So that's coming up. We don't know when, but they need to have their POD approved. So before they can start work.
Mm-hmm.
ENI is still in the business. They're still producing. So unless they have plans to sustain productivity and be able to extend their field life, they'll go back and drilling again. We have the likes of Springfield and the rest who also still need to get some work done. So there are companies that actually have work planned, but it all depends on a few things. So to answer that question, you can't tell for sure who is going to be doing the next work. But if the work is getting close to a year of being executed, we will have more information on that. So for now, I would say it's an information that is more held close to the chest of most of these companies.
Awesome. Next
Hi,
question.
Clement.
Yes.
All right, I saw something and I wanted to address.
Okay.
Few years back, I used to get some responses from some senior level people that I was seeking mentorship from. And when it was my turn to start offering mentorship, I started experiencing the same thing with the people, the potential mentees. And I realized that while I learned the hard way, this generation are not ready to learn. Now, somebody wrote in the chat box, "Can you be my mentor, Derek?" Okay, Derek can be generous and say, "Great," and take it from there. But the tendency to ever get a mentor to respond to you in such a way is very subliminal. Like, it may never happen. I remember speaking at KNUST some years ago. After the event, somebody sent me a WhatsApp. "I want you to be my mentor." And I was like, I felt like, okay, he doesn't know how to go about these things. Let me engage him. Good morning, how are you? "Oh, you've not answered my question. I want you to be my mentor, yes or no?" I, of course, immediately archived the message. For most of the young persons, how to approach and talk to people is very necessary. Last year, during the e-mentorship, I engaged a young guy. I was given a young guy to mentor from UMass. And from that go, he got it wrong. But I made up my mind that I was going to teach him. And by the end of last year's mentorship, he was writing great professional letters. He was able to address and send good emails and correspondence. And I saw that growth. And this is some of the things that young persons say, "I'm trying to seek mentorship from a lot of people, but they don't get." It's the way you go about approaching the person, especially in this day and age of social intervention. So you feel like because you have the person's phone number or the person's social media handle, you can just drop a hi and expect a response. It's never going to happen. I used to do that many years ago. I felt like, "Hello, good day." The person will never respond to you. All right, that being said.
Awesome. Thank you, Daniel. Next question is, please, in Ghana oil and gas industry, we have females working, or there are other males there? Because a female friend was asking me that and I couldn't answer her. So I want to know.
The person wants to know whether there are females in the industry. Is that what the question is?
Yes.
Oh, Sheena, this would have been brilliant for Sheena. Dorothy, do you want to take that question?
Yes, Derek. Please, can you all hear me?
We can hear you brilliantly.
Okay, so the answer is yes. We have a lot of females in the industry and even offshore. Even though the percentage compared to the men is quite low, but we have quite a couple of females. I think even on one of our FPs, so we have a lady that holding playing a very major role in there. And all the females who are offshore, they are actually really doing a great job. They are being given the opportunities to express their potential. So we have females in there. If you get in there, if you prove yourself that we are willing to learn and give your best, you will be given the opportunity and you do very well. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Dorothy.
And then,
I have a question.
okay, go ahead.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Derek. He has been so influential, and thank you so much, Mr. Derek, for that. My question is, as young graduates that we are also coming to the industry, I understand that we sometimes need jobs to get money, but some people will not always like to be employed. Some people also want to employ other people. So my question is, what are some of the ways that we can also get some roots in the oil and gas industry and establish our own maybe institution or firm, and so that in the next 10 years to come, it will become a very broad area whereby we can also employ those who are coming out. Because for all I know, government or whoever cannot employ everyone. So some of us have to go on our own way and also employ other people. So what are some of the things we need to start that? That's my question.
That's very good. I really wish I had one of my mates who actually has set up his own thing to talk to us. And Clement, put it down. We would have a meeting with, I think, one or two of my mates who have their own companies running to come and have a talk with us on how to get this thing done. But Robert, to answer your question, speaking to them, one thing I've seen with them is they did spend time. The industry is such a way that you need to spend time in the industry to understand the industry to be able to come out of it. There are guys who I won't mention the name, but there's a guy who wanted to be able to build a man work, whatever they call it, a workforce for the industry. And the person needed to understand how the industry worked. So the person actually came offshore, to the surprise of everyone, as a rouseabout. The rouseabout is one of the guys offshore who works trying to get the rig moving and things like that. Their job involves quite a lot of manual labor, making sure the rig is the maintenance on the rig is good, the rig is clean, all these other stuff. The guy came in to do the work first. And by doing that, he understood the structure industry. After he understood the structure in the industry and how it worked, he came off, did it for like a year, came off, and then he set up his own company, supplying workforce to the industry. And it's worked perfectly. I know a guy who came from Coca-Cola, joined an oil and gas company in the HR sense, and then also set up a firm that helps tie in industry people to various work around in the industry. So it's important that to be able to be in an environment where you want to be able to influence them, you need to understand what they do. So you need to come in and work with them to understand what they do. So it's good you have the plan and idea to start up your own business. But for me, who has not done that before, it would be unfair for me to advise you in that area. So I would want someone who has been there, done that, to do that. So it's a good question. I'm a bit disappointed that I can't exhaust the answer very well for you. But what I will do, we'll take it away. Clement will take it away. We will set up a session where we will talk to people who want to be able to start their own business and then how to do it, especially in oil and gas. Because there are two people I have in mind who have been there, done that, and are doing very well. And I would want them to come and talk to us on how to go about it. Okay?
Derek, can I have a little touch on it?
Oh, yeah, I forgot you also have your thing going. Yes, Clement, go for it.
Okay, all right, sure. So, to start up a business, especially in the oil and gas industry, as Derek was saying, you have to sometimes be on the field to know what goes on. Because sometimes to start a business, you get the ideas from the problems that the industry faces. Okay. An example, I was with Bosch for some time, and then through there, I was able to see a problem. I visited Tor, I saw some problem. I visited so many places, and then the problems you keep on seeing will help to guide you on a particular path you can follow. And you should also note that when it comes to the oil and gas industry, it's capital intensive. You need money, because without money, you can't run your business. Okay, so you need experience, you need to be there, be on the field. After that, you come out and then do your planning. Okay, so I saw a problem. Maybe you saw that their separator is not working as it's supposed to. Is that a problem I can solve? If yes, do I have the technical know-how? Once you're able to put out all these particular problems and gather them, you'll be able to know, okay, so since the separator is this, then I can come up with a service company that specializes in solving that particular problem when it comes to separator. So indirectly, even though you are not an oil and gas company, but you are an oil and gas service company. And then separators are used in most of the industries. It's not only the oil and gas, it can be anywhere. Okay, so these are ways you can start up. And then you need a lot, when it comes to oil and gas, you need a lot of approvals. You need a lot of certifications, because depending on where you are found, whether downstream, midstream, or the upstream, you're going to get a regulator. So you see that NPA have to approve, you have to get certification from NPA and many bodies before you be able to stand out to say, I have a company. Yes, I have a company which is still young, still trying to get all the certifications, but it takes time. It doesn't start up just like that. It takes time. It takes time, planning. And you need a lot of time to plan. Because if you don't do all your risk analysis and the investigation, you might start the company and then start facing problems. So you need to find out all problems which are capable of what occurring, and then find solutions to it before you even start it up. So that is a way I think you can start up a business. And from my aspect, I even went back to the refinery. I went to the refinery for some time, tried to find out what goes on, learned, and then I came back again to restructure myself and I would put things in place. So that's, I think, how you can start it up. Thank you very much. I don't know if that answers your question. Okay. So last but one, I think 2 more questions, then we can close the meeting. The question is, please, I am an SHS graduate. What program choices are available to me if I want to have a career in the oil and gas industry?
I think that question, Wilbert answered it for him. So there are a couple of the programs that Wilbert added to the question. So I hope that exhausted for them.
Okay, awesome. Lastly, with the limited number of activities in Ghana, please touch more on the subject of looking beyond our boundaries to build our career.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
We spoke about developing cross-disciplinary skills that may not be in your initial discipline, but by developing those skills, you would come off as someone who is needed in the industry. You studied mechanical engineering and you are functional, or let's say, let me pick from electrical. I remember I was discussing this same thing with a young girl who had just finished electrical engineering. And she didn't have any clue that as an electrical engineer, you could find enough space in the oil and gas industry. And so I got her to understand the concept of instrument and controls engineering. And then she began to do some certification in instrument and controls engineering, process control and automation. And from that area, she's still learning, she's not yet done. But these are skills that are very, very needed, like very needed, because all we do is we use what do you call it, PLCs and MCCs, and so these are being managed by how do I call them, by instrument and control engineers, and in some places they call them POCA, process operations control and automation. And so if you're able to develop skills as an electrical engineering person, you are able to find your way into the oil and gas industry. Same way for somebody who does mechanical engineering. Now, say for example, go to AutoCAD's website. They have a lot of have a lot of areas of certifications, which is around computer-aided design, which is not limited to only the basic AutoCAD and SolidWorks that you know, but piping and instrumentation drawing is something that most people didn't know that is a huge area. You develop a good skill there, and then you are, because most firms would either sublet these things out to consultants to do them for them. And for example, you can develop safety if you have the funds. You build skills, write enough certification in safety, hoping that you can become, like, let's say, a hazard chair. So you write all the certification exams and you get nominated to become a hazard chair. And that's good. In Ghana like this, there are very limited hazard chairs. And so you become a hazard chair. These are various opportunities. And I know a hazard chair who never studied engineering. His first degree was in marketing. His second degree was in energy business management. And then he started writing safety certifications. And he has gone beyond even being a hazard chair to becoming a member of the examination body for NEBOSH in the UK. But he started right here in Ghana. So these are areas that you can try to look at instead of just, picking your eyes keenly into the small hole of mechanical engineering, chemical engineering, petrochemical engineering, and the simple discipline.
Okay, thank you, Daniel. Yes, we have said a lot, and then our time is up. I know there are a lot of questions, but this is not the end of the webinar. We have other webinars in January, that's somewhere next year. So just keep updated. All your questions, just bring them to the next event. Probably we can touch on any other question you have. And on that note, I would like to say that those who seek for mentorship, the Career Guidance and Outreach Committee of the Ghana SPE section is currently accepting mentees. I think when we go to the LinkedIn, you search for SPE Ghana section. We have it there. You go to Instagram, SPE Ghana section, all the social media pages. Once you type SPE Ghana section, we have all these informations there. You click on the link, you register, the team will get back to you, and then we'll pay you as such. So once you state maybe you want the drilling, you are more of the drilling, you like reservoir, you like HSE. Once you choose where you want to be, the team will pair you as such to the experts who are into that field, so they can be mentored well and then know what exactly you're about. So thank you very much. As we draw the curtains on what has been an invigorating and enlightening journey through our Career Guide webinar, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of you, the speakers. Thank you very much. We appreciate. We hope you can join us next time. And also, your questions and insights have added immeasurable values to this experience. So on behalf of the Career Guidance and Outreach Committee of the SB Ghana section, I wish you fair winds and following seas in all your professional endeavors. Happy Merry Christmas in advance. So on that note, I would like to say, enjoy your day.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Clement. Good job.
You're welcome, Derek. Enjoy the rest of the day.